In a forgotten realm where the rain had long ceased to fall, greed had drained the very essence of life from the dry and scorched earth. The soil had become a mosaic of scars, reflecting the hearts of the people who had forgotten how to care for the land that once fed them. Under the merciless sun, compassion had evaporated. Neighbors fought over the last muddy drops of water, their eyes burning with the cold fire of desperate survival. Laughter was a forgotten sound, replaced by the harsh cries of the greedy. In this wasteland, every soul had become an island of bitterness and isolation. At the heart of the capital stood a withered tree, a skeletal remains of a glorious past, now standing alone as a silent witness to the decay. To the citizens, it was nothing more than a dead monument of failure, a place to discard their refuse while the world around them slowly turned to ash. On the outskirts of this dying world lived an old farmer, a man whose wealth was measured not in gold, but in the depth of his soul. His hands were like the earth itself, rough and broken, yet they held the most precious treasure remaining, the final portion of his daily drinking water. While others hoarded every drop to prolong their own misery, he chose a different path, walking toward the center of the city with a quiet purpose. The powerful and the proud watched him from their balconies, mocking the old man's madness as he approached the tree they had all given up on. He poured the liquid life onto the thirsty roots. One drop, then another, a sacred sacrifice offered to a spirit that the world thought had perished. Marcus, the captain of the guard, sneered at the old man's devotion, spitting in the dust to show his contempt for such a useless act of mercy. As night descended, the desert air turned cold and biting. The city fell into a heavy sleep, unaware that the wheels of fate were beginning to turn. The old farmer remained by the tree, his body exhausted but his heart at peace. He slept among the refuse, a guardian of a dying dream. His jar was empty, his sacrifice complete. In the silence of the midnight hour, the universe began to respond to the purity of his unwavering loyalty. Deep within the blackened wood, a spark of ancient magic ignited. A glow, soft as a heartbeat, began to radiate from the core of the tree. The scars of time began to heal. Where there was once rot and decay, shimmering veins of pure gold started to weave through the ancient bark. The transformation was silent and divine. The tree was being reborn, not as wood, but as a monument of light, forged by the farmer's selfless tears. From a branch of solid gold, a miracle blossomed. A single bud emerged, defying the laws of nature and the harsh reality of the surrounding desert. The leaf was a translucent emerald, a gem of pure life. It was the first sign that the drought of the soul was coming to a miraculous end. As dawn broke, the tree stood as a pillar of fire. The light reflected off its golden skin, waking the city with a blinding, heavenly radiance. Word spread like wildfire. The people who had mocked the tree now swarmed the square, their faces twisted by a hunger far greater than thirst. Marcus arrived with his iron-fisted guard, clearing a path through the mob. He saw not a miracle of life, but a fortune waiting to be seized. The old man tried to protect his friend, but he was cast aside like a withered leaf. Greed had no room for the guardian of the miracle. With a cold heart and a sharp blade, the captain prepared to claim the prize. He believed that power could steal what only love could create. The air grew heavy with anticipation. The crowd held its breath, watching as the symbol of hope was about to be struck down by human avarice. Every man and woman in that square had forgotten the farmer's kindness. They only saw wealth, a way to escape the poverty of their own making. The captain's smile was a mask of malice. He raised his arms, pouring all his strength into a strike that he thought would make him a king. The iron fell, cutting through the morning light. But the desert has a way of judging the intent of those who walk upon its burning sands. The strike did not bring wealth. Upon impact, the gold vanished, replaced by a violent eruption of shadow and the screams of a breaking world. The tree's beauty turned into a nightmare of thorns. The gold was revealed as a mirror, reflecting the darkness in the hearts of those who sought it. A localized tempest of black sand rose from the earth, a whirlwind of judgment that blinded the greedy and swallowed their arrogant cries for help. Marcus and his soldiers were swept away by the very element they had allowed to consume their kingdom, lost in the shadows of their own making. The crowd scattered in panic, realizing too late that the treasure they sought was a poison to the selfish and a shield for the righteous. Through the chaos, the old farmer moved with a calm heart. He did not fear the storm, for he had never sought the gold for himself. He laid his hand upon the trunk, a gesture of pure love. In that moment, the thorns softened, and the black sand began to settle. The tree did not give gold, it gave life. A geyser of pure, sweet water burst forth, drenching the dry earth with a long-forgotten blessing. Rivers of life-giving water flowed through the streets, cleansing the city of its filth and its greed, promising a new beginning for all who remained. Nature reclaimed the land with breathtaking speed. The brown wasteland turned into a tapestry of green, as life returned to the places it had long abandoned. The withered tree was no longer a skeleton. It stood tall and majestic, its canopy a vast umbrella of emerald leaves that whispered in the wind. The old farmer sat in the cool shade, his burden lifted. The tree had healed him just as he had once tried to heal the tree. The survivors learned a lesson written in water and gold. They began to share, finding that abundance grows only when it is nurtured by kindness. The kingdom was reborn as a paradise. The desert was gone, replaced by a garden where the memory of the drought served as a guide for the future. As the sun set, the golden light returned, but this time it was the light of a content heart and a world in perfect harmony. Never lose hope when things seem dry, for with patience and loyalty, you can turn any desert into a garden. The greatest treasure is love.